is focused on this tiny band of frequency, visible light. Therefore, I see you, and I don't see beyond it. When my body ceases to function, then I'm no longer perceiving. My awareness is no longer perceiving through the body, and therefore through the limitation of frequency range of the body. Now it's perceiving in an expanded state. That's all that happens. That's all that happens. We have this great fear of death, but that fear of death is the result of an ignorance of life and what life is. When we realize we are awareness, indestructible, eternal awareness, state of being aware, then there is no death. Does the body cease to function and we call it death? Yes, of course. But, would you want to stay here forever? When you have infinity to explore? What? Oh no, I don't want to explore infinity. I want to work down the supermarket. Right? Come on. So, but because we have this fear of the unknown, which by suppressing the knowledge of life and the knowledge of who we really are, you create this situation where, because of the fear of what happens when the body ceases to function, what we call death, people are terrified of it. What will God say if they believe in religion? Or, well, I'm just going to cease to exist if they believe in mainstream science. And both, for me, are complete illusions. We are a state of awareness. When the body dies, we expand into a greater sense of awareness. This is what near-death experiences are. Just read them. I've read endless numbers of them, and the consistency is unbelievable. Where as soon as they quote, die, expansion of awareness. Why? Because they've left that vehicle which focused their attention in this band of frequency, this source of information we call the world. Because we don't live in a world. We live in an information source, which we are decoding into this reality. And what I've found fascinating on this World Speaking Tour is that I created and set out the presentation first of all in 2 events in England in June. And as I've gone around the world, I keep seeing mainstream newspaper stories and media stories from mainstream science and other sources that are confirming that what's said in the presentation is actually true. What I've been saying, for instance, one of endless things that have been more and more confirmed through mainstream sources, and people think that's credible, is that everything is a state of awareness. That what we're looking at is one infinite awareness, which takes multiple forms. My expression of infinite awareness is looking at you now. Your expression of the same infinite awareness is looking back at me. And thus, it's not just humans that are awareness. So is everything. And there was a story just in the last week of a scientific study which concluded that trees have consciousness. Of course they do. And that they actually operate in sort of what we would call family circles and family groups. Now, this is the wonderful thing about this. Well, there's many wonderful things about this time, and many challenging things about this time, but many wonderful things. And one of them is that the veil is lifting. That which created the veil is still trying to keep the lid on, but it's increasingly, if you use the analogy of the dike and the holes in the dike and putting your fingers in to stop that. There's too many holes for too few fingers now. This information is coming out. And that makes it a great time. And the other thing is that, the technology now that's coming out, computer technology or Wi-Fi, for all the dangers and stuff of that, it does give you an analogy to very simply explain the reality we're experiencing. For instance, if I said to someone who didn't know about computers that in this room, in the hidden, you can't see it, there is a whole global reality. It's a global reality that you can experience in Australia or America or Italy or Britain or South Africa. People that didn't know about computers, didn't know about Wi-Fi, and didn't know about the internet would say, "You're mad, I can't see it, where is it, where is it?" But because people know about computers, it's like, "Oh yes, I understand that, yes, you get a computer, you turn it into the Wi-Fi, and you get the internet and all that, that's cool, yeah, I know that, yes." But that's what the biological computer is doing. Because this universe is a quantum computer. Quantum computers which encode the information in the fabric of reality, in the energetic fabric of reality. And we are, I call it the cosmic internet. We are interacting with this cosmic internet, which we call the universe. And if you have a narrow perception of possibility and a narrow band of awareness, not because you can't have a massive band of awareness, but you've chosen to believe in little me and phantom self, so you have a small band of awareness, you are going to interact with that quantum computer, i.e. possibility, in a very narrow band. So what are you going to bring into your life as you interact with it? A very narrow spectrum or range of possibility. "Oh, my life's ever so boring, nothing ever happens to me." And then when you expand your awareness, not because you are Buddha, cross-legged on a mountain, because you that's who you are, but you just got to remember it. Now you're starting to interact with this quantum interactive cosmic internet in a much more expanded way. So as you do so, you are able to pull into your life from this cosmic well of possibility, vastly greater possibilities than you are when you're in that mode, because you're interacting with it on a much more expanded scale and breadth of frequency. Thus, you bring into your life amazing things, amazing coincidences, amazing pieces of good luck, and your life becomes an adventure instead of, "Oh, nothing ever happens in my life," because you are accessing a greater span of possibility than you are in that mode. Everything comes from that. Now, if you're a few and you want to control the many, do you want them there? "Oh, I see it now. I see what's going on." Or do you want them there? You want them there. And if you look at the process from when children come into the world to when people go out of the world, it's one long, incessant, unyielding, merciless process of perception programming. It starts with the parents. You come out of the womb, the parents are now influencing your perceptions because they've just downloaded what you're about to download. And therefore they're passing it on to you because they think that's what normal, that's what you should know. You then, in a ridiculously short time, after entering this world, now you're in a classroom. Now you're sitting at a desk and an authority figure representing the perceptions of the state is now telling you when you have to be there, when you can leave, when you can talk, when you can eat, when you can go home, when you can go to the toilet. And crucially, they're telling you what is and what isn't, what's possible, what's not possible. And they're giving you a perception of reality that's coming from the state. You then go through all your formative years into higher education, constantly, day after day after day, downloading the version of reality that the state has decided is reality. Actually, the state has decided at the real deep in the shadows level, the perception of reality that will keep you in line so that they can control the show. You then go out from your education period, all your formative years, and you go, say, into the institutions of politics, of law, of journalism, of science, of medicine, of the corporations, all these things. And you take with you that core programming of reality. And so all these institutions are peopled by those that have accepted the programming and accepted it so well that they did brilliantly in their exams because they told the system what it wanted to hear, thus they got good grades. Oh, good job. Oh, you're well programmed. Well done. You can have a job. So they are then constantly confirming to each other that this download of normal, which is a Stone Age frickin' nonsense, is how things are. And so a journalist who is doing something about reality, not that they ever do, except very rarely, they won't go to someone who's studied it, say like me, for 25, 26 years. They'll go to a scientist and they'll get the state song sheet version of reality. If they're doing a story on health, they won't go to complementary practitioners who might have a massive amount of knowledge and success in treating this particular ailment that they're writing about. They'll go to a doctor and they'll get the state's version of that illness and how to treat it. And so we have this program, what I call the postage stamp consensus of normal, which is so narrow, it's beyond laughable. And that is the perception that dominates most people's perceptions of reality. So we have a situation where, according to mainstream science, the electromagnetic spectrum is 0.005% of what exists. Even within that sliver of frequency, visible light, this planet, equivalent to the perceived size of the universe, is the equivalent of a billionth of a pinhead by comparison. And yet we still have people going, do you think there's other life other than humans? And what? Are you kidding? That's the power of the program, the perception program. And when people like me say, actually, there's a non-human force manipulating human affairs, it's like, that's hysterical. What? But of course, because of the way the system works and the way the education program works and the way the media works, the mainstream media works, they've never heard that what we call the world is a tiny sliver of frequency. They've never heard that. They don't realize that when they look through their eyes, they're not looking at everything that they can see in that space in front of them. They're only seeing what exists within that frequency band. They don't know that. And if they did know that, they'd realize that the very question, do you think there's life other than humans, is ludicrous in the light of